How did you trick your entire high school? Senior year, I was this completely invisible kid who sat in the back corner of every single class. Never raised my hand, never caused any trouble, just existed as background noise. My grades were solid B's and C's, nothing that would make teachers remember my name. Most of my classmates couldn't even tell you what I looked like. I'd been going to school with these same people for 4 years, and I was basically a ghost walking through the hallways every day. That's when I got this absolutely crazy idea that would change everything. What if I convinced everyone that I was actually some kind of hidden genius who had just been keeping quiet this whole time? It started really small during chemistry class. Our teacher, Mrs. Peterson, was struggling to explain molecular bond formations to a room full of confused faces. Half the class looked like they were about to fall asleep. I raised my hand for literally the first time all year, and gave this incredibly detailed explanation about covalent and ionic bonding that I'd memorized from YouTube videos the night before. Every single person in that classroom turned around to stare at me like I just started speaking ancient Greek. Mrs. Peterson's jaw practically hit the floor. She was so impressed that she immediately asked if I'd be willing to tutor struggling students after school. So naturally, I went home that night and spent the entire weekend binge watching every chemistry video I could find online. Not just basic high school stuff, but actual college-level organic chemistry lectures from universities. The following week, I pulled the exact same trick in my calculus class. Our teacher, Mr. Davies, had put this impossible derivative problem on the board that had stumped the entire advanced placement class for 3 straight days. I walked up there and solved it step by step, explaining each part like I'd been doing calculus problems since I was 5 years old. Mr. Davies looked at me like I just performed actual magic in front of his eyes. Word started spreading through the school faster than wildfire. Did you guys know that quiet kid who sits in the back is actually some kind of secret genius? People were whispering about me in the hallways. Students who had never even acknowledged my existence before were suddenly asking me for help with their homework assignments. I always said yes, but first I'd rush home and frantically research everything on Khan Academy. I was staying up until 3 in the morning every single night, cramming information I should have already known. MIT OpenCourseWare became my Bible. I watched university lectures during lunch breaks while everyone else played on their phones. By October, teachers were specifically calling on me whenever they encountered complex problems that stumped the rest of the class. I became the designated problem solver for impossible questions nobody else could handle. The pressure was absolutely incredible, but I was completely addicted to this newfound respect and attention. Students who had treated me like furniture for years suddenly wanted me as their lab partner. College prep kids were begging me to join their exclusive study groups. Even the popular athletes were saying hello to me in the hallways and asking about homework assignments. The breaking point came during senior presentation week, where everyone had to give a detailed speech about their future career plans and goals. Most students talked about pretty standard stuff like becoming nurses or business managers. When my turn finally arrived, I walked up to that podium with a 50-slide PowerPoint presentation about quantum computing applications in artificial intelligence development. I'd spent 2 weeks preparing this monster presentation. I spoke for 25 minutes straight, using technical terminology I barely understood myself. Neural network architectures, machine learning algorithms, quantum entanglement theory, computational linguistics. The entire auditorium was dead silent. My physics teacher was frantically scribbling notes like he was attending a graduate seminar. The principal was nodding along like I was the next Albert Einstein. Students were secretly recording me on their phones. After my presentation ended, the guidance counselor immediately pulled me aside in the hallway. She told me that MIT had this special early admission program specifically designed for exceptional students. Would I be interested in submitting an application? That's the exact moment when pure panic set in. I suddenly realized I'd created this massive, elaborate lie that was spiraling completely out of my control. These people genuinely believed I was some kind of hidden genius, but the truth was, I was just a regular, average kid who happened to be really good at using Google and memorizing information from educational videos online. I spent that entire night confessing everything to my older brother who was home from college. He laughed so hard he literally couldn't catch his breath for 5 minutes straight. Then he said something that completely changed my entire perspective on the situation. You do realize you actually learned all that advanced material, right? Just because you taught yourself doesn't make the knowledge fake. He was absolutely right. In 6 months of desperately trying to maintain my fake genius reputation, I had accidentally become the smartest student in my entire graduating class. All those late nights researching complex topics had genuinely made me an expert in multiple subjects. I wasn't pretending anymore. I had actually earned that knowledge through pure determination. I ended up getting accepted into 3 top-tier universities with full academic scholarships. Not because I was naturally gifted, but because I had worked harder than anyone else to maintain my carefully constructed reputation. My old high school invited me back 5 years later to give the commencement speech to the graduating class. I told them the complete truth about how I accidentally tricked everyone, including myself.